name is Liezl from Liezl Books, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I'm just a girl who loves reading romance books, fantasy romance, paranormal romance, any genre of romance in general. And I also happen to have cerebral palsy. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. For today's video is going to be my favorite age gap, mafia, dark romances of 2022. So let's get started with the list. First we have the Off Balance series by Lucia Franco, and the Off Balance series is about Rhea and Cova. Rhea's dream is to be an Olympic gold medalist, so her dad sent her to an elite gym where they train people for the Olympics. Her coach is Cova. Now, Cova doesn't like her at first because he thinks she's not serious enough about her dream. But Rhea decides to prove him wrong, and then Cova suggests Rhea stay after school so she can relearn the basics, because whoever taught her gymnastics before didn't do a good job about teaching her the foundation of gymnastics. So she starts seeing Cova after class for private classes, and they really connect about their love for gymnastics, and they start to form a friendship. Eventually, they start to cross that line from student teacher to friends to lovers. Now, Rhea is 16, but they don't do anything until she turns 17 on her birthday. I really love this series. I read it because of McKay from Oh Hey It's McKay. It's like the angstiest age gap romance I have ever read. Cova and Rhea would make you want to pull out your hair, especially in the first 3 books. I loved them by the 4th book, because in the first 3 books, they don't make the smartest choices, but I tell you, they make up for it in the last 2. So please, if you're looking for a forbidden taboo romance, please read the Off Balance series by Lucia Franco. It is so good. Next we have Praise by Sarah Kate. Praise is about Charlie, who broke up with her boyfriend Beau, and she wants her part of the deposit back because they paid for an apartment together, but she breaks up with him, so they're not living together anymore. So she wants her half of the deposit. So she goes to Beau, and Beau tells her, I don't have it, my dad has it, you have to go get it from my dad. Charlie goes to Emerson's house to ask for the check, but Emerson owns a kink club, and he assumes Charlie Charlie is his new submissive. So he tells Charlie to get on your knees. And she's like, what? And he's like, don't you want your money back? So Charlie gets on her knees. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's on her knees, but she said, I don't know what you're talking about. I just came to get my part of the deposit back. I'm your son's ex-girlfriend. And Emerson is like so embarrassed. So Charlie gets up and he gives her part of the check, and Charlie leaves. But ever since that encounter, Charlie is curious about Emerson's kink club, and then Emerson goes to Charlie to offer her a job as his secretary, 'cause he wants to find a way to get closer to his son again, so he offers Charlie a job, 'cause he thinks if he offers Charlie a job, he can get closer to his son Bo again. They try to keep their relationship like workplace professional, 'cause Charlie is Bo's ex-girlfriend and Emerson is Bo's dad. But Charlie and Emerson have this connection that they can't deny. Eventually, they do cross that line, and I love this book so much. I read this book because of Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl. She introduced me to Sarah Kate. Next, we have Sweet Dandelion by Macaulay Smeltzer. Sweet Dandelion, her name is Dandelion. And check your trigger warnings for this because it has school shootings. So please read your trigger warnings. Dandelion was a victim of a school shooting. She used to be a runner, but now she can't run anymore because she has a limp. And not only that, her mother died in the school shooting because her mother worked at the same school she was going to. So her older brother, is now her sole legal guardian. So they move away from their old town, and I think they move to Oregon. And she goes to this new school, but as a requirement, Dandelion has to go see the school psychologist every day for a period of her school there.
I also read this book because of McKay from Oh Hey It's McKay.
Lachlan, and Lachlan tries to help Dandelion process her feelings about the school shooting. First, Dandelion doesn't want to open up because she doesn't want to think about it because her mom died in that school shooting. Eventually, she gets comfortable with Lachlan to open up about what happened to her. but their school sessions. Through their school sessions, they start building a friendship. They also find out that they're next door neighbors. So it is a slow burn romance. At first, they just start off with as counselor and student, and then neighbors, then friends, and eventually lovers. It is a forbidden romance. It is a taboo romance because Lachlan works at the school Danny's attending. But their romance is so sweet. Lachlan makes Dandelion feel alive again, and it's slow burn. It was very beautiful. And let's move on to my dark romances. I read Sea of Ruin by Pam Gladwin for the first time, and it is about the heroine who dreams to become a pirate, and her mother wants to set her up.
I read Sea of Ruin because of Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life and Jen from the Book Refuge. I read it because of their book club.
A pirate like her father. Something happens where her mother and her father die. Years later, she grows up, and she's actually a pirate, and she's married to another pirate. But one day she finds a letter written by her husband to his lover. So she runs away from the husband, and while she runs away, she gets captured by a pirate hunter, and she tries to escape the pirate hunter because the pirate hunter wants to take her to England, and I think to England. But during her captivity, she falls in love with the pirate hunter, and the ex-husband is still chasing her. I loved it. It was so good. Please check your trigger warnings before you read Sea of Ruin. It has sexual assault for the other triggers, but violence towards women. Please check your trigger warnings. But please read Sea of Ruin because the plot did something that I was not expecting. And I don't want to ruin it. You have to read it yourself in case you want to read it. Because if I tell you what it is, it would be a spoiler. Next, we have Untouchable by Sam Mariano. Untouchable is about her and Zoe. Zoe harassed by one of the football players in school, so she reports this to the principal. And one day at school, she gets cornered by the football players in the classroom, and one of them happens to be Carter. And Carter, there's a non-consensual scene that happens. Please check your trigger warning. He forces her to give Carter a BJ, and it happens in the beginning of the book. But after that happened, Zoe tries to forget what Carter did. But then Carter shows up at her house, telling her mother they are friends, and Zoe thinks Carter is crazy, but Carter keeps pursuing Zoe, and she's like, starts to get really curious about why Carter is doing these things. So she agrees to play Carter's little game. So it's kind of like a psychological
I read this book because of Jen,
because
from the
Carter
book Refuge.
And Zoe like to play games with each other. It is so good, but so dark. Another book by Sam Mariano I read, Even If It Hurts, is about Aubrey and Dare. One day, this girl comes in because Audrey works at a mall, and this girl tries to return something. And she's like, I'm sorry, you cannot return that here. This is not the place you bought that shirt. And even if it was, this shirt is too dirty for you to return it. You clearly worn it before. Only to find out that girl at the mall who tried to return her clothes is the most popular girl in school. So I can't remember what her name was. So the popular girl goes to her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's name is Dare. And she's like, I want you to get that girl to fall in love with you. And then dump her, like, very cruelly. And so they make this bet. But as Dare starts to spend time with Aubrey, he grows more obsessed with her, and he's not going to do what the popular girl wants. This story is dark psychologically. There is a twist that there's an ending that I did not see coming. I liked it. It was more of like a thriller to me, but if you asked me who I like better, Dare or Carter, I would pick Carter, because at least you know Carter is willing to bend his reasonings. Carter is willing to concede to make Zoe happy. At the end, if you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But he's willing to concede to make Zoe happy. Dare is not willing to concede on anything. He will get Zoe, and he will get Aubrey. He will make Aubrey stay with her, and she does not have a choice whether she wants to leave him or not, because Dare will never let Aubrey leave him. And Aubrey doesn't even have a choice of friendship. At least Carter gives Zoe the opportunity to have friends. He concedes to her in that. And Zoe sticks up for herself and Aubrey does not. So that's why I like Untouchable a little bit better than Even If It Hurts. Next, we have I have to mention J.T. Geisinger, Queen of Myths and Monsters. It's about, I think, the Russian and the Italian mafia, but each book is kind of like the different mafia. In both of them, they first go to the Italians, then the Russians, then back to the Italians again. And my favorite book in that series is the second one. The Captor one. It's about Declan and Sloane. And then we had my next Mafia series that was my favorite is the Kings of Italy series by Mila Finelli. And there's 3 books in that series. The first 2 books follow Fasto and Francesca. Francesca finds out that her father, who's in the mafia, owes a debt to Franco, to Fasto. Owes a debt to Fasto, so Fasto takes Francesca to get engaged to his son. I can never pronounce the son's name, but when she gets there, Francesca gets there, she finds out that the son is gay and he doesn't want to get married. So Francesca tries to escape Italy and go back to the United States, and Fasto is there to stop her. Fasto is very intrigued by Francesca. And he changes his mind. He said, "You know what? You are not gonna marry my son. You are gonna be my mistress." And the first 2 books in the series is about Fasto and Francesca. And it's an age-gap mafia romance. And the second book is about Enzo and Francesca's younger sister. Enzo is the villain and mafia darling and mafia mistress. So we get the villain story, and the heroine is Francesca's sister. So it's another captive, but the heroine never bends into Enzo's wants, and eventually Enzo finds that very attractive in her, and he falls in love with her, and he has to decide what's more important, his vengeance or being with the woman he loves. The last book I'm going to mention is His Pretty Little Burden, and it's about this pregnant young girl who tries to find her father.
I read this book because of Jen from the book Refuge.
And she needs her father's protection. another guy from a different mafia family who seeks vengeance against her father for what he did to his brother, tells her he knows who his father is and he will call him for her. So she goes to his house and he makes up excuses. It's basically captive, but instead of he's supposed to use this girl against his enemy, but instead of using her, he falls head over heels in love with her instead. It's an age gap romance. He's technically married, but not. See, he's married to his best friend, this girl who happens to be a lesbian. So she's okay with her. His wife is okay about him falling in love with this girl. So please check your trigger warnings for this. Also, it has a lot of drama. This girl goes through a lot of dark things, so please check your trigger warnings. Those were all my favorite age gap, mafia, and dark romances of 2022. Please let me know down in the comments below if you have read any of these books. I would love to know, and it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to my channel. Thank you. I'll see you Wednesday.